Hello, welcome to Granada Reports, live with the latest across the northwest.
Hello, on the programme this evening.
Yet another clear-up as Storm Franklin batters the region, but floodgates on the River Mersey save hundreds of homes from the floodwaters.
It was scary. I stayed dressed in case we had to exit.
If it keeps raining like yesterday, where does the water go then?
The irony is that by the government removing the very few protections that we have, the lockdown continues for families that are vulnerable.
One family's fear for the future as the Prime Minister confirms all remaining coronavirus restrictions will soon come to an end.
Better safe than sorry, our very own Paul Crone on the importance of recognising a heart attack and calling for help.
And I've got the shoes, I have got the brush, and I'm at the only place in England where you can learn to curl. More about that later in the programme.
Less chat, more sweeping, Vicky.
All right.
First tonight, the huge sigh of relief after severe flood warnings for the River Mersey in Greater Manchester were stood down. The river had reached the highest level since records began.
Yeah, it was an anxious night with people from a sheltered housing complex having to be moved to emergency accommodation at Didsbury Mosque. At the same time, in a carefully planned operation, engineers managed to ease those dangerously high water levels by opening specially designed floodgates.
Tonight, we'll hear from Joe about yet more bad weather to come.
But before that, Sarah Rogers reports.
This lake is actually a golf course, as rain was diverted to the plains to save homes. The River Mersey dumping debris across roads in South Manchester. The focus was Didsbury and Northern areas where miles of land has been sacrificed to stop hundreds of houses being submerged. Wet brick at the rugby club shows just how high the river got. It was a close call for residents.
It was scary. I stayed dressed in case we had to exit.
We were just monitoring the situation really carefully. We were quite worried.
The risk to homes here, and indeed life, is a relatively new one.
The only danger now is if it keeps on flooding, if it keeps on rising, if it keeps raining like yesterday, where does the water go then?
As the water inched higher as night fell, the floodgates eventually opened with emergency crews on standby, but with a threat to life warning in place, a number of people were told to leave their homes and were taken in by a local mosque.
I'm a bit worried because it's my first time. It hasn't happened, I've never been anywhere like this.
It was easing that worry and taking it away from them, which has been really important for us all.
Well, that worry turned to relief as today the warnings were downgraded. But Franklin is the third storm to hit the region within a week, with many saying this one was worse than Eunice, which was meant to be a rare weather event. Today, stretches of the M60 in Greater Manchester were closed after a lorry toppled. And on the M6 in Lancashire, this lorry hit a bridge and caught fire. A number of trees were once again downed across the northwest as a trail of destruction was left behind.
And on the poppy path itself, we had another one that fell right across the path, and if anybody had been there, then, they would have had serious injuries.
Well, the water level here is falling, but it's still at the top of its normal range after in some areas it reached record highs. But just look at this, the incredible amount of debris that's been left after it topped here last night, and just the road here is completely impassable, and by the looks of it will be for quite some time. The clean-up here is just going to be huge. Withington Golf Course was also used as a floodplain. This is what it looks like today.
There is a lot of work. Yeah, a lot of it will be with the grounds team and getting the fairways ready and the greens redone and the bunkers all sandbagging in the bunkers.
Last night, the fire service had some 200 to 300 staff available, and it was all hands to a pump they didn't in the end need this time. But the risk of flooding wasn't all they were left dealing with.
Lots of high wind related events affecting the structure of buildings, signage. The reality is each and every one of those is a risk to life, isn't it?
Well, 3 storms. Unprecedented, really, isn't it?
It is unprecedented. I've certainly not seen the scale over such a short period of time as we've seen over this last weekend, and I fear it may not be unprecedented. This may become somewhat more of the new normal.
And as the clean-up starts, the preparation continues, because after Storm Dudley, Eunice and Franklin, there's a warning there could be more stormy weather on the way later this week. Sarah Rogers, ITV News in Didsbury.
Well done to our emergency services and Didsbury Moss for helping out so well last night. Joe's here with us in the studio now. So is there any end to all of this on the way?
Well, it really has been a week, hasn't it? 3 named storms. It's turning into the busiest storm season, in fact, since 2013, 2014, when we had 12 storms between December and February. So incredibly busy, and big storms too. Now, there's no named storm through the rest of this week, but it is looking unsettled. And the reason why, if you take a look at this graphic here, is the position of the jet stream. It's acting as a conveyor belt, effectively swinging deep low pressure systems in across the country. And that's certainly been the setup over the last week or so. A little bit of a shift in the jet stream through the rest of this week, but it's still going to mean very unsettled conditions for us here in the northwest. More details later on, of course.
OK, Joe, thanks for now. We'll see you later in the programme.
Well, next tonight, the unease over plans to bring to an end the remaining coronavirus restrictions.
The Prime Minister is due to address the nation in the next hour and has already announced that compulsory self-isolation will end on Thursday. Free COVID tests will also be scrapped at the start of April.
But those who care for vulnerable people have told us these changes are dangerous.
Our political correspondent Leisha McNally reports on Boris Johnson's big gamble.
From this evening, I must give the British people a very simple instruction. You must stay at home. We will keep these restrictions under constant review. We will look again in 3 weeks and relax them if the evidence shows we are able to.
We weren't. Those 3 weeks became 3 months, became nearly 2 years, living in and out of restrictions, through highs and lows and hope and loss.
After roughly 100 days of lockdown.
Finally, reason for hope.
The Northwest now has the fastest rising rates of COVID.
Are they playing poker with places and people's lives?
Over 1,000 will soon be through these doors and be vaccinated.
But the Prime Minister has just addressed the nation and confirmed that we are moving into Plan B.
But now, 23 months on from the first lockdown, the government has announced that we're finally nearing the end.
We can now deal with it in a very different way, moving from government restrictions to personal responsibility, so we protect ourselves without losing our liberties.
The Living with COVID plan will mean it's treated just like any other illness, such as the flu. From Thursday, people won't be legally required to self-isolate, even if they're positive. That's a huge worry for people like Laura Lovell from West Lancashire, whose youngest son is clinically vulnerable and has severe learning disabilities. He's missed 2 years of education at his special needs school.
It makes me angry when I was getting to a point where I was hoping my children could safely return to school with, staff members and other students isolating if they were positive, with regular testing in school. It really makes me very angry that I now feel unsafe to do that. So yeah, it's challenging. You feel a lot of guilt as a parent. I have an older son as well who's a teenager, and he's had to shield his brother as well, so he's sacrificed a lot.
Laura feels that clinically vulnerable people are being forgotten about for a politically popular decision she describes as dangerous.
The majority of people struggled with lockdowns for the time that we had them. Those people that are vulnerable have locked down for 2 years and they don't want to be locked down anymore. And the irony is that by the government removing the very few protections that we have, the lockdown continues for families that are vulnerable.
And unions too have concerns that employees will feel pressured to work even if they're ill.
We really need to see the government fix sick pay. But people, if they're not able to access testing, if they're worried they won't be paid if they've got symptoms and are not able to self-isolate anymore or not required to self-isolate, can they afford to take time off work? I think the reality for too many is that they won't be able to do so.
But others say this move had to come sometime, bringing welcome confidence back to the economy.
I think it's a huge symbolic moment, actually. We need people to start thinking about, back to normal, life after COVID, as it were. And I think that's a mindset that's going to take quite some time to get back to. But it's really important that we do. Certainly, places like Metrolink that's based on people getting on the trams in the morning. Otherwise, the funding model doesn't work. So there's the whole, back to normal mentality is a really, really important message.
So the big question is, why now? The government says the current rates are improving every day, but Labour says the timing is about politics, not healthcare, a distraction from the Prime Minister's leadership woes. Either way, this is Boris Johnson's big gamble, balancing the health service, the economy, lives and livelihoods, and we've all got a stake in the outcome. Leisha McNally, ITV News.
Next tonight, a total of 30 people have been sentenced for their part in a drugs gang that generated fear with a sniper rifle while they were selling heroin and cocaine across the country. One man was jailed for more than 14 years.
They were from Morecambe, Liverpool, Kirkby and Bolton, and they were convicted of drugs crimes, offences involving weapons, or of helping an organised crime group. Police say people in the region will be safer now they're locked up.
Seasoned officers were staggered by the gang's arsenal, as our correspondent Rob Smith reports.
Taking down an armed drugs gang who pushed misery nationwide. Raids in Liverpool, Morecambe and southwest England seized heroin, cocaine and powerful weapons. The worst, a sniper rifle, capable of hitting a target up to a mile away.
I was staggered that a weapon such as that could be in the hands of anybody at all, let alone somebody involved in such serious criminality as we have seen in this crime group. It's terrifying.
Because it could kill an awful lot of people in a very short space of time.
Absolutely, over a very long distance as well.
More than 100 rounds of ammunition for various guns, plus a sawn-off shotgun, show the fear the gang wanted to generate. Drug handovers in public showed how confident they were inside a random bookmaker's or a lay-by outside a shop. Sometimes they were hidden, like in woods near a cinema in Liverpool. But detectives were watching. Gang members now sentenced for drugs crimes or weapons offences or helping an organised crime group.
I genuinely hope and believe that the people that live in those communities will feel far safer because a criminal network has been taken down who were intent on delivering Class A drugs across this force area and other force areas.
A criminal network who had access to terrifying weapons. Rob Smith, ITV News, Liverpool.
Well, next up, a subject close to our hearts, you could say, on this programme. It's estimated each year more than 85,000 people have a heart attack. And 16 months ago, we were shocked when one of them was our very own Paul Crone.
Yeah, full marks to the ambulance crew, Julie and Adam, who had to put up with his bad jokes all the way to the hospital. But joking aside, Croney delayed ringing 999 as he thought it wasn't a heart attack, and that is not uncommon.
Yeah, now the NHS is launching a life-saving campaign, telling people to call an ambulance as it's better to be safe than sorry. And we're pleased to report that Croney is back to his old self.
And there was no better man for this report.
No, it's not my favourite photo on my mobile camera roll, taken on the 16th of November 2020, hours after suffering a large heart attack and having a stent fitted. Scary times. But thanks to the staff at Wythenshawe Hospital and expert advice and care from those around me, looky here, back on the road to recovery and feeling better than I did. My biggest mistake was mistaking a heart attack for a tweaked nerve. I'm not alone, which is why the NHS has launched a new life-saving campaign to encourage people to dial 999 when they're having early signs of a heart attack.
People can feel the pain, often don't even describe it as a pain, a tightness, a pressure in the chest. They may feel it in their arm as well, or they may feel it just in their arm or jaw. You feel unwell, generally speaking. Some people feel hardly anything and think it's indigestion.
Forget all the films and TV dramas we've seen of people clutching their chest and falling to the ground. A heart attack occurs when the supply of blood to the heart becomes blocked, which can starve it of oxygen, potentially causing serious muscle damage.
A squeezing across the chest, a feeling of unease. The early symptoms of a heart attack don't always feel severe.
So on the night in question, I delayed ringing 999 for about 90 minutes, and that's where I went wrong. I knew I didn't feel right, but it simply never occurred to me that I was suffering a heart attack, and there was also an element of not wanting to bother the emergency services.
I think that people often don't want to bother the doctor or don't want to bother the services. Everything's busy, but nevertheless we'd rather see 100 people with funny chest pain that haven't had a heart attack than miss one person who was having a heart attack, and that's absolutely the case for the whole of the health service. The timing is critical. The sooner you get evaluated and treated for symptoms of a heart attack, the sooner the damage to the heart stops. So it starts with usually an artery blocking with clot, and the heart muscle starts to die, and the sooner we get that restored, the more chances of it coming back to normal.
So despite my initial dithering, I'm trying to keep my ticker in top condition. Do I love going to the gym though? What do you think? Paul Crone, ITV News.
Yeah, great to see him looking so well again. But next tonight, this is something we've been looking forward to all day because the North West has a new boxing world champion.
Yeah, she hasn't stopped smiling since. She's here with us in the studio alongside Mila, her biggest fan, her daughter, of course. David, what a great start to sport.
It's brilliant, isn't it? These two are superstars, absolute superstars. And of course, we are going to start sport tonight with Natasha dedicating winning that WBO super welterweight title to her daughter, Mila. It was a magical moment for the Liverpool boxer after the heartbreak of returning home empty-handed twice before in her quest to become a world champion. Well, Natasha said she wanted to show that dreams can come true if you work hard enough and never give up. And boy, she's done just that. Yeah, and Tasha and Mila are here with us. Tasha, we saw that there. What a performance. I mean, we can see with the belt as well. Just what was it like to finally be able to bring that belt home to Mila?
I think it was a mixture of joy, relief,
happiness and everything else. You know, I said it there on the interview, and I sacrificed so much, and so does she. And just to be able to bring that to her on the Sunday morning, it meant everything.
Mila, what did you say to your mummy when she came home with that belt? Well done. Now, did you give her 1 thumbs up or 2 thumbs up as well? 2 thumbs up. Oh, wow, that just goes to show that's a great performance.
Yeah, and being allowed to stay up late to watch was pretty good as well, I think. Now, Natasha, it's 10 years, isn't it, since you were first British female boxer at the Olympics. What a 10 years it's been. Quite a wait for this, though. So sum up what those 10 years have been like.
It's been an absolute roller coaster. When me and Tom, obviously Tom was the captain of our 2012 team. He's now my manager in boxing, so everyone's roles reversed, everything. And we were just talking about it, and we were like, Tom, it's been 10 years since the Olympics. And he's like, I just can't believe how quick time goes.
And being a mum.
Being a mum.
Juggling everything.
Yeah, ups and downs. They've opened off to, you know, I think everyone had kind of wrote me off before the Harper fight, and everyone's like, ooh, she has actually got a bit left in the tank here. And then I got the opportunity for Katie, and they were like, ooh, she's still got it. And then, you know, it didn't work out for me on both occasions, but it finally did. Third time lucky, I wasn't lying.
When you win a belt like this, Tasha, it isn't just for you, is it? It's for your family, it's for your friends, and all those people that have helped you along the way. And of course, you couldn't do it without some pretty big support closer to home, and there was a very, very special message that you were sent just before the fight. Let's take a quick look at it. Now, Mila, can you tell us who those people are? They're your friends at school, aren't they? What do they think of your mummy? Happy. They're very happy for her. I bet they think she's a superstar, don't they?
Natasha, what does it mean to have so much support?
Oh, it was phenomenal. The messages that were coming from as far as Australia. I think the furthest one was Singapore, the States. And
from
then,
Mila's school?
Yeah, Mila's school. Local football players, actors, actresses, and like some of my old Team GB coaches, my old Rotunda coach, the Rotunda itself, everybody near, far, wide, everyone, and it was so good to see, you know, so many female support, like you know, Lauren Price, Chantel Cameron, April Hunter, and also. Yeah, Chantel Cameron was mentioning me, and Jane Couch. Yeah. Jane Couch has literally been my rock since since before Harper.
We've always loved her on this programme, haven't
Tash,
we?
can I just cue up some pretty cute pictures alert of Mila? Because when just after your first professional fight, we came and filmed with you and Mila. Can we just show you these? I mean, how much does she inspire you as well to go out there and achieve?
She does. I mean, you know, everything that happens with me, she still makes that much mess with eating dinner now. But everything that I do, you know, as she's on my shorts, the board wrote her name on me gloves, as in like the cast underneath, and I do everything for her in honour of her and the time that we have, and trying to give her, you know, make her see things that I wanted to see. So.
Tasha, Mila, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You guys are absolute superstars, and congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Well, next, the sport that finally gave us something to shout about at the Winter Olympics.
Yes, it is, of course, curling, with Team GB winning gold and silver medals in Beijing.
If you've been inspired, how exactly can you get involved?
Well, the answer is head to Preston. That's because the city will soon be the only place where you can try the sport in England.
So our reporter Victoria Grimes fancied giving it a go. So how's it going?
Oh, Lucy, it's pretty slippy on this ice. I've got the special 50 grip shoes on. I've got my brush here ready for a little bit of sweeping along. But it is, I think, one of the most interesting sports to watch. And they've got a fantastic team here at the Flower Bowl in Preston, coached by the wonderful Rory, who is with us now. Rory, tell us, what are the guys here doing tonight? Because this is your junior squad, isn't it?
It is. So at the moment, we've got a lot of new juniors in. So they're learning the basics of how to curl. And then hopefully we'll get them up to this standard of the juniors behind us, who are currently got their own team together, and they're away to play in the English Junior Championships at the end of March.
Has watching the Olympics, do you think, provided a bit of an explosion of people interested in curling? Because so many people have watched it, haven't they, and enjoyed it?
Absolutely. We've got numerous different sessions, and we've tried our best to make it as accessible for people as well. We've made it to try and be a bit more like, almost like temple bowling, where you can just rock up and have a go, really.
And you've got all the equipment and things people need here?
We do. We've got all the equipment. Coaches come on with you. You've got your shoes, your headband for protection, and the brushes as well. Yeah. So everything's here.
He's got everything. Look, you talk about the headbands. I've got mine on underneath my bobble hats for a bit of Olivia Newton-John. Let's get physical, proper style on Granada reports tonight. Now, joking aside, Rory, it's very much in your family curling, isn't it? Because your brother was part of the Olympic squad that won the silver medal just quickly, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. He was a fifth man, and the vice Grant Hardy was actually one of my best men as well, so I know them really well.
You know the same. Who could be better placed to coach these young stars here? And here's one of them, Ollie. Where's the other Ollie? Come on, guys. Double trouble, these two. They've been giving me grief all day already. Just while we're waiting for the other Ollie, how are you finding this? Because you've been doing it for 3 years and you love it, don't you?
Yeah, it's an amazing experience. I've made so many new friends. Yeah. It's just so fun.
And what's the big ambition, Ol?
Probably try to get Olympics in 4 years. Perfect age for that, aren't we?
Yeah. I can see you two at the Olympics. What do you think my chances are? You've seen me practice?
I've seen you practice. 0%.
0%, right, you two. You can sweep off, both of you. Rude. Back to you.
Thanks, Vicky. Time for a look at the weather now. Here's Joe.
Now that is brew weather.
And only bowling what she needs.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Big up you, sis.
Thank you. Hello again. It's been nice to see a bit of sunshine this afternoon, and there will be a few glimmers of brightness over the next few days. However, tomorrow morning, a spell of wet and windy weather will move through. Generally, things feeling a little colder as we go through this week, and probably our only fine day will be Friday. Tomorrow you can see then those isobars tightening up, rain moving in quite quickly, pushing through. Settling down a little bit midweek with more cloud Wednesday, a colder blast of air for Thursday, which will turn showers to sleet and snow on the tops of the Pennines, the Lakeland Fells, before that ridge of high pressure builds in for Friday, giving us a quiet end to the working week. But back to tonight, it's clear, it's dry at first, cloud will build from the west later, still quite breezy out there, especially for Irish Sea coast tonight. Drizzle to the Isle of Man and later on moving inland across most places, but nothing too much to worry about, and temperature-wise dipping to around 3 or 4 Celsius as a minimum temperature. So no frost tonight. Tomorrow the sun will be up at 7:16. Setting at 5:34. If you're up early, it could be dry where you are, if a little cloudy. Quite quickly, though, a heavy spell of rain and some squally winds move through during the rush hour. Not the best time at all, but clearing through very promptly. 1 or 2 showers later on, but coming Increasingly dry through the afternoon for our part of the world. A chilly feel to the day in that wind. It's still quite gusty and northwesterly. 9, 10, maybe 11 Celsius at best. And then looking ahead, Wednesday will be a largely dry if cloudy day. A few showers around on Thursday with the cold air. These could turn wintry on the tops. Friday should be dry with high pressure, keeping things settled.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
2 sugars, please. Oh, lovely.
Thanks, Joe. Natasha and Mila are still with us. Mila, let's just see that world title one more time. Oh, look at that.
That's the way to do it, isn't it? And homeschooling was at the gym for part of lockdown, wasn't it? So what was Mila doing?
Yeah, we had lots of physical education, and you can put it down now. She was, she was being the, I don't want to say the Rendell of things, but she was counting our press up. She was making sure we got all our runs done.
Go on, Mila,
and
well
making
done.
sure Joe loved it.
Secret weapon. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Bye from us.